Welcome to the Comic Queens podcast. I'm Alex.
And I'm Annie, and we're super happy to have you here with us today. It's been a minute since we've physically recorded together.
Yes, it has. 3 weeks to be exact.
3 weeks. I know we've been releasing them weekly still, but we took a little bit of a break. You had a nice little vacation.
I did. I went to Universal. I did the Halloween Horror Nights, which I will still try and get you to go to eventually. It was terrifying and so much fun.
It sounds like my absolute worst nightmare. I will not be doing that.
A 60s vampire, from the 1960s dressed vampire chased me around with a foot. You would have loved it.
In what world?
Okay, I would have loved it for you.
Yes, you would have loved it. As we've all talked about already on this podcast before, that is not my thing at all. I don't think, literally, if you can't get me to go to a small town, little tiny haunted house, there's absolutely no way I'm going to one that has actual movie grade prosthetics and stuff. I'm not doing that.
We'll see.
No. So anyways, we're super happy to talk with you all today. Since we've taken a break, not only from recording for a couple of weeks, but also from basically connecting with each other on what webcomics we've been reading. Mm-hmm. We actually have quite a few that we've never talked about on here. So I'm excited to kind of do a little touch base on what we've been reading, what has us excited.
Yeah, me too. And I know a lot of the ones that we're talking about are from the Webtoons Tune or Dare. So if you have not taken that quiz and you want to, it's still out there as far as I know, and it's got a lot of good recommendations on it.
Yeah, I do think it closes soon before Halloween. So go ahead and get in there and do this. I think by the time we release this, though, it might be gone.
It might be, yeah.
Hopefully you're reading our minds and taking the quiz with us, and you can let us know what you've read from there as well. Mm-hmm. See if you have any new favorites. So, Alex, what have you been reading?
Okay, so I'm starting off with my favorite that I've been reading recently, which is called Nina's Magic Chest, which Annie, you said you were going to read and have not. I read it for you instead. It's really, really good. So it's on Webtoon. It's 84 episodes right now. It's a thriller. So it was in the horror category, but it is listed as a thriller. And it is a Wednesday release. So if you want to read week to week, if you're looking for something to fill a Wednesday time slot in your reading lineup, this is my recommendation. It is so good. Basically, it is about Nina, who is kind of venturing out on her own for the first time. She's struggling to pay her bills, to get a good job, to just basically live on her own. It's the first time she's just not doing that well.
Nina is all of us.
Nina is all of us. And what she does, and I think that we connect with this really well because we live in a college town. So we know, the struggles of seeing a nice piece of furniture by the dumpster that you're like, I'm going to take that because that's pretty nice. And someone just threw it out. So Nina does this as well. She finds a chest. It's a single drawer chest, bright pink, has gem stickers all over it. She's like, well, this is kind of ugly, but I really need furniture, so I'm going to take this. So she takes it home, and she's like, okay, well, I'm not going to invite anyone over. It's okay that I have this piece of ugly furniture. I need places to put things. So she opens it up and she finds 3 cards that say, write your wishes down. Mm-hmm. So she's like, oh, so fun. I'm going to do this, just give myself some good energy by manifesting some of my wishes. So the 3 things that she wishes for are to find a good job, to have $500 for her rent, and to have a nice, capable, good boyfriend. So she makes these 3 wishes and then puts the cards back in the drawer, shuts the drawer. And at this point, she falls into the chest. Now, that's all happening in the first couple of episodes. So that's not really a spoiler or anything. It's just like the setup for, okay, what's happening. So she realizes she's gone into the chest. She's got the job. She has the $500. She's really wishing she wished for more money at that point. And she has a boyfriend who is also her boss at the job.
Fun.
So she's living in this box, basically, but she goes outside and she realizes that only her company exists. There's nowhere else in this box. And she's like, oh no, how do I get out of here? So she figures out how to get out of there. I won't spoil anything. I'm not going to give too many details from this point because it's a thriller. You're supposed to be kind of figuring out what's happening as she figures it out. So she does manage to get out of the chest. And she's like, wow, this actually works. She figures out how to get out, and she knows how to do it for the future as well. So she's like, okay, I can go in and out of the chest. She's trying to figure out the rules of how it works. Things in the chest are similar to reality, but not always the same. And so she's trying to figure out how the chest works in that way as well. And like her boyfriend who exists in the chest also exists in real life. The company she works for in the chest also exists in real life. And she's not really sure, like, what to do. And so she's just trying to figure out how to use this chest to her advantage. And very early on, you meet the creepiest lady ever. The art in this is so good. It's, like, super harsh lines, like, very colorful. If you've seen the thumbnail or if you've read this, you know, it's, like, super colorful. But the lines themselves are a little menacing. When you look at it, it's like very harsh lines. Nothing is soft about this. It's all very like graphic, and it puts you on edge. And when you meet this lady, she is so creepy. And so like you just want to know what happened to her. Why is she like this? She wants the chest. She goes up to Nina and she's like, I left my chest. She describes it exactly. It's pink. It's got gems. And I left it in the alleyway and someone took it. Can you believe it? And Nina's like, no, I can't believe that. That's crazy. And meanwhile, she's like, do I tell her I have the chest? I don't think it's that important, but I know that, like, you know, I want to figure out how this works. And she's like, well, why does this crazy lady, like, why did she have the chest? If she had this chest, why wouldn't she make her life better? And so that's pretty much it. You're just walking through, like, her descent into madness over this chest, basically. I love it. I adore this series. It is so good.
It sounds really good. I am still so spooked. Like, again, anybody who's listened to our fall episode, I did select this one specifically because it was colorful. And in my heart, I just hoped that it wouldn't be scary. Because I don't do scary very well. But it sounds very creepy and menacing.
It's more creepy and mystery, I would say, than straight horror. So I do think you would like it. I really do.
I'll have to give it a go. I know, like, I'm reading a billion different series, as if that's different than ever before. But I do think that I'll have to give it a go.
Yeah.
Just because it's very interesting. And even just after you telling me this, I already have my own theories of how things will progress.
I am so excited for you to read this one with me so that we can discuss theories specifically, because and as you go through it, your theories will change. You'll think something about, you know, a certain character and think, oh, they have this motive. And then you find out later that their motive might be different. And it just is crazy.
I do love that. The suspense is already killing me.
Yeah.
Haven't even read it. So
yeah.
Thanks for ruining my day. No. I think that's great. We'll have to definitely read it, and maybe we'll have to do a specific episode about it.
We should. Doing
some theory development. Well, the one that I started reading from Tune or Dare is definitely not as spooky. I actually started with Morgana and Oz. It is a fantasy. It's just one of those great worlds that you get to delve into that were recommended. And it's one that's been on the list for a while. My husband wrote it on our list and said, you need to start this. Mm-hmm. And I finally did. So shout out to my husband. He has wonderful taste. But this is a Sunday release on Webtoons. It's got 54 episodes and it releases every week. So no hiatus or end of season yet. Hopefully not at all, because I want to continue reading it. But basically the story opens up and you get to meet Morgana and her family. Morgana is a witch, and so is her entire family. And they're setting up for this huge dinner that they're inviting over essentially their family rivals, which is like this gang of vampires. You don't really know what their beef is, but you know something has gone wrong. They don't trust each other. They're trying to do this dinner to like make amends, but also kind of to keep tabs on each other. And so it's not a healthy relationship. And so Morgana is sitting there and she's practicing her spells and she like destroys everything. She has no control over her magic. Like she's sitting there and she's like, oh, I want to trim the fabric. And she sets this dress on fire. And like her little brother is trying to help her with like regulating everything. And so she's super nervous about meeting these vampires. She doesn't know what she's supposed to do and like what her place is at this dinner party. They just have to like put on a happy face and like figure it out from there. Mm-hmm. And so once the vampires arrive, she kind of goes to take a breather and she sees that there are a bunch of vampires like hanging out outside the house, mostly because that's their like escape plan. Like the vampires are anticipating that Morgana's family is basically going to attack them. So they have like vampires basically stationed outside in case things turn into a big blowout fight. Well, Morgana runs into Oz, who is one of the vampires in this clan. And, you know, they shake hands and they keep everything cordial. Well, at the dinner party, the witch family ends up offering the vampires like chalices of blood, essentially as like part of their peace treaty. Mm-hmm. And when the main guy drinks it, the blood is somewhat cursed or poisoned. So
did they do it on purpose?
The family is shocked. Like the witch family has no idea what's going on. They don't know who would have poisoned the chalices. Mm-hmm. Like they're all kind of looking at each other and pointing fingers and then also thinking to themselves, there's no way any of us could have done this. Like, who would have done this? Mm-hmm. And all the vampires outside kind of catch the drift that something was going on. Oz starts looking at Morgana, you know, suspiciously, and she has no idea what's going on because she didn't even see what happened inside. And so essentially, like, all of this, like, fighting and stuff starts going on. And Morgana, with no control over her powers, just kind of, like, freaks out and does something. She doesn't even know what she did or what spell she did the incantation for, like nothing. Mm-hmm. And all of a sudden she sees a cat. And so it turns out that in her just flurry of spells that she starts doing in an effort to protect herself, essentially, she accidentally turned Oz the vampire into a cat. So Oz immediately thinks this is like another weird, like, you're trying to get control over us move that Morgana did. And he slowly learns that Morgana does not have control over her powers, has zero malicious intent whatsoever. Mm-hmm. Like, she really believes that nobody in her family would have poisoned the blood. She's like, I have no hard feelings. This sounds like something from centuries ago that, like, was just bad blood and, like, we were trying to put everything behind us. I don't understand who would do it. And so essentially, Oz has this little bit of, you know, reliance on her. He relies on her to, like, make him into a vampire again. And she kind of relies on him to trust her and say, like, help me figure out who did this because it wasn't my family. Like, help me clear my family's name.
Is he still a cat while they're figuring this out?
So for part of it, yes. He does eventually become a vampire again. Essentially, it's just about the growth of their characters. Like, they're both fairly young. They're like, you know, early 20s maybe. And so it's just about them, like, getting to know somebody that they have nothing in common with, essentially are like built-in rivals, and like learning the good nature of the other person, even though it was assumed malintent on both of their parts. It is such a sweet story. It is so good. All of the characters are incredible. There are a lot of different twists. And I actually have my own theories on this one as well, because as of right now in 54 episodes, you still don't know who poisoned the chalices, why they poisoned them, and essentially like how they're going to fix this. Obviously, like there's a villain, but you don't even know who it is.
Yeah.
So it's very interesting. Not everything is as it seems, and it's a very gripping story.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, it sounds really cute, too. I know the cover that I've seen, both of the main characters look super cute, and I didn't know that the vampire got turned into a cat. I love it. Very Thackeray Binks.
I know, very Thackeray Binks. I actually just watched Hocus Pocus last night.
I might have to watch it today now.
It's so good. I love the talking cat. You can't tell me otherwise.
Yeah, you can't beat it.
You know, Sabrina the Teenage Witch vibes.
Yeah,
honestly,
I was thinking that too.
Honestly, not too far off. I will say, think Sabrina the Teenage Witch, but with some weird rivalry with some vampires. And there you go.
Yeah.
It's honestly a really cute story. The art is beautiful. The color palette is very fitting for the season. So it has been one of those cozy reads. It was so quick for me to catch up.
Yeah.
I highly recommend it.
I'll have to add it to my list. I mean, it's already on the list, but I will have to actually read it.
It's on the list.
I say that every time.
It's on the list of like 300 titles.
Definitely more than, probably closer to 400 at this point.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah, no worries there.
So it's interesting that the one that you are reading, or one of the ones that you're reading, is about a vampire and a witch, because one of the ones that I'm reading is called Les Normaux, and it is about a vampire and a wizard. So very close. Super same. The art is like very fall, very cozy. It was a nice read, especially after reading Nina's Magic Chest. It was a great contrast. And one thing that I noticed for both of them is just they're both so colorful. I haven't described Les Normaux at all, but basically the color palettes are both very like bright, and they use a ton of color, but they use them so differently. It makes the stories feel very different, because Les Normaux is a romance. It's on Webtoon. It's 50 episodes long, so it's about the same as Morgana and Oz. It's a Sunday release, and basically it's about Sebastian, who is a wizard, and he has moved to supernatural Paris. So there's a supernatural world and a kind of mortal world, and he was living in the mortal world with his family. His mom and dad don't approve of him being a wizard and are basically like, you can't practice magic. So he was not able to hone his skills at the same time that everyone else was honing their skills. And so it's basically his first time being off on his own. He ends up going, and so he moves to supernatural Paris. And basically, when he first gets there, he ends up going to a club on, like, his first night there. He doesn't know anyone, is just, like, kind of out of character for him. He's really seems like a homebody. He's got a little bunny named Pierre who's super cute. And there's, like, little side stories about Pierre that are really, really cute, where Pierre is basically, like, trying to take over the world, but as a tiny bunny, and it's adorable. So that's just, like, a little bonus content you get. But basically, he goes to this club, and he runs into Ilya, who's a vampire, and they end up, like, making out in a room somewhere. And then Sebastian kind of freaks out. He's like, I don't do this. This is not who I am. And he kind of stops Ilya and is like, sorry, but I have to go. So he runs away, and then he's, like, having, you know, a moment of, why did I do that? That was so stupid. And he goes home, and he wakes up the next day, and everything's fine. And he's getting ready to go to school because he's enrolled to learn how to control his magic and how to use his magic. He's enrolled in this college. And he runs into Ilya in the hallway, and it turns out that Ilya is his upstairs neighbor.
Oh my gosh. The embarrassment.
I know. So they're both kind of like, I don't know where to go from here. They end up being friends. Sebastian goes to school. He meets a couple of other guys who are also older and not like older than the average student. And so he kind of connects with them right away because he's like, they also either weren't able to use their magic, realize their magic later, or just didn't graduate school. And so they kind of, connect over being older at school and become friends through that. And then basically there's a plot line early on where during like the first week of one of the potions classes, Sebastian like spills a potion in the hallway and Ilya's like, oh, let me get that for you. And Sebastian's like, no, don't touch it. And it ends up changing his hand color. And Ilya is a model. So he's like, I need this to not be a different color. And so they end up getting closer through that and like start hanging out. And basically it's like super early on in the series. Like it's basically just setting up both of their lives. And I think that they're going to come together and it's going to be super cute. It's already super cute.
It sounds adorable. I mean, obviously I love the whole witch and vampire thing. So what's not to love about a wizard and a vampire?
I know, very seasonal.
It is very seasonal, very fun. But I love that.
Yeah, I do too. And I think you'll especially love the side stories about Pierre.
So is this kind of like, this is like a boy love then?
Yeah.
Yeah. That checks out. You're just reading the boy love version of what I'm reading.
Pretty much. And we didn't even talk about it. It just happened on its own.
I know. Yeah, we haven't talked in 3 weeks about what we're reading. So
yeah.
It really has, I mean, that checks out. Why not? Well, I don't have any boy loves that I've just recently started on my list. So I'll definitely have to add it, just sprinkle some new ones in there.
It's super cute. Highly recommend.
Well, speaking of other worlds, one of them that I started reading is also kind of about a different world. It is, of course, an isekai, one of my favorites. It is called Not Your Typical Reincarnation. It is a newer series on Webtoon. So I started it like as it released. Again, a recommendation from my husband. So shout out to my husband. He's pretty great. But it is 12 episodes on Webtoon, and it is actually a release every Monday. So super happy to kind of have something new to dabble with. But this isekai is about Suna. She's just a regular girl, and she ends up passing away. Her brother was like a gambler, and he essentially just kind of held it over her head for basically her entire life. And so she kind of just worked to support his terrible habits. And then one day when he asks her for more money, he pushes her down the stairs, and she wakes up in this new world of a novel where she's, of course, the villainess.
Yes, I love that.
Love a good villainess story. She immediately decides she doesn't want to be. She knows the character. She knows the character is fated to die at the hands of the male lead. And she just goes, I'm supposed to marry this male lead. It's a marriage of convenience, essentially. Like the two families despise each other, but they're both in positions of power. And so they just kind of arrange for this marriage to happen in order for them to have connections. So she goes, I know in the story that my fated husband, his name is Killian Rudwick, basically hates me because he already has feelings towards somebody else. And I'm basically just in the place that he wants to put that person. And so in the end, he ends up killing her in order to end up with the main protagonist. And she goes, I can't do it. So she, of course, starts running through her list of everything that she can do to avoid being killed. She goes, I have to become a nice person. I have to change the entire image. Her family has her dress in these very revealing gowns, lots of gemstones, very gaudy. And it's not really her style anyway, but she knows that that's part of the reason that the male lead, Killian, looks down on her. So she doesn't have enough time to make any changes because she basically awakens on her wedding day. She goes, once I'm married, I'm going to make these changes. So slowly but surely, Edith, previously Suna, just kind of starts making all of these efforts to change how Killian looks at her. She basically instead of trying to order all of these new gowns from the family's seamstress, she just asks the seamstress if she can add material to the bosom and like the neckline, things like that, take some of the jewels off, etc. She starts selling the jewels that were on the dresses to like build up her own funds on the side.
I love it.
And just essentially she wants to become as self-sufficient as possible. Meanwhile, you meet Reese, who is the like dedicated protagonist in the story, and she has Killian, who's in love with her, and also his twin brother Cliff, who is in love with her. And so essentially you find out that Reese was the illegitimate child of another noble family, and she was extremely mistreated. And so as an adult, she was basically brought in by Cliff and Killian's parents as like somewhat of an advisor, and they just kind of consider her, the parents consider her as family. The guys consider her as essentially a love interest. And so there's that power struggle of like the two brothers being in love with the same person, etc. Edith tries to stay entirely away of that entire mess. She's like, as little as I have to interact as possible, that's great. I'll just try to get on Killian's parents' good side. So she's like reorganizing all of their financial documents. She's using tables, which like didn't exist. She's like, oh, look at this nice way to organize all of your information. And they think she's a genius. And, you know, they see her as extremely frugal because she's not spending all this money. And essentially you see Reese kind of starting to get jealous, because the parents have always loved Reese. And now this other woman's come in and is also gaining their favor. And it's almost like a competition. So Edith doesn't see it this way. She's just trying to live her life. She's like, I've got a hot husband. He won't look at me, but I could look at him and that's fine. And she's essentially just living her own life, trying to cause as little fluctuation as possible, other than I don't want to die. So as long as I make myself into somebody who shouldn't die, that's fine. And essentially with all of the changes and decisions and things that she's making, Killian is starting to kind of see her in a different light. He still has this built up resentment of, you're essentially my fated enemy. Our parents hate each other. I had to marry you. Like there's a lot of built up resentment. And he definitely shows that. But essentially he just says, you know, that's weird that she wouldn't buy all these dresses. That's not like her. Maybe I don't know who she is. They have like a conversation about art. And he's like, since when does she appreciate all of these like finer things rather than like all of the gaudy expenses, stuff like that? And every time something interesting like that happens and it changes his perception, he gets these like awful migraine headaches, like a splitting pain in his head. Ooh. And so now you're trying to figure out what's happening. Like, is she really changing the course of the story? And if so, what's going to happen? Like, are the tables going to turn? So it's a great one. It's a really, really good one. And I do love having her essentially just focusing on being self-sufficient, because she's like, maybe we can get a nice quiet divorce. I can move out and it'll be fine. And really, like, I think that's one thing that is kind of missing from a lot of the isekais.
Yeah.
In that respect, is like, she's not even really focused on like trying to salvage this relationship as much as she's just trying to live a quiet little life and kind of find her out of this situation. Mm-hmm. So
the description really sounds like I've become a true villainess.
It does.
And that is one of my all-time favorites. So I definitely am going to read this one. That sounds so good. My ears, I think that I physically perked up when you said that she created tables.
We love a good spreadsheet.
We love a good spreadsheet. And I mean, yeah, the story sounds really good. It sounds super gripping. It's really interesting, the migraine thing. I already have a theory that like it's just because she's changing the course of the story and the story is trying to write itself, but that's without having much context.
I know. You'll have to read. It's only 12 episodes.
Yeah, I could catch up pretty quickly on that one.
This is me trying to convince you all to read the story with me. We'll do a buddy read.
Yes.
It'll be fun.
Yes. Oh, I love it. Well, the last one that I have been reading recently is called Vampire Husband. It is so cute. It's on Webtoon. It's a slice of life. It's 100 episodes, but they're short episodes. So I'm about halfway through right now. I'm not completely caught up on this one, but it's a great one because it's slice of life. It doesn't really have a consistent storyline all the way through. There are some reoccurring characters and things like that, but it's not just one story that you're reading. It's like a bunch of little things.
Yeah.
So it's great to read if you don't really feel like getting into a story, but you've got some time to read, like pull this one up, read a couple of episodes, you can put it down and then, pick it up at a later date. It is on hiatus, so it's not making any new episodes currently, but the 100 episodes should last you for a little bit.
Yeah.
It's about Cheryl and Charles. So Charles is a vampire and Cheryl is a human. They're married. And they've been married for 50 years. And so Cheryl is like an adorable, tiny 80-year-old woman. And Charles looks like he's still in his 20s. So it's very cute. They have, the antics of people being like, oh, they've got to explain themselves to people of like, I'm a vampire. She's 80. We're technically, it's okay. And it's just really, really cute. They have interactions with their neighbors. So it's basically like daily life. They have werewolf neighbors who they talk to. There's a vampire hunter who keeps going after Charles, and Cheryl just keeps like stopping his plans in the tracks. It's very cute. Cheryl's old lady friends make appearances where they're just like playing bingo and doing different things like that. There's other vampires in the story. It's adorable. I love it. I love Cheryl. She's like such a strong-willed character for being the tiniest character ever.
I love that so much. Honestly, in like any vampire story where it's a vampire and a human, like at the end, they always end up both being vampires.
Yeah.
Because it's just easier. And I love that it's a perspective where you get to see, like, no, she just gets to live out, like, her regular life as a human. Like, I could just imagine those, like, descriptions for people of being like, no, don't worry. I'm not a cougar. We've been married for 50 years. He just is 25 forever.
Yeah,
so it's fine. But I love it. I love that they don't have to keep that he's a vampire a secret either.
Yeah, it really seems like they don't. It doesn't sit, like, they've not said it to anyone. But Cheryl goes in, like there's a one scene where Cheryl goes in and buys steaks, like from the meat market every week. And this guy just thinks that she's his best customer and like super happy about it.
Aww.
And Cheryl's like, yep, gotta get steaks for my vampire husband. And he just thinks that she's joking. She's like, oh, that Cheryl's so funny.
Oh, Cheryl, that little old lady. I love it.
It's so cute. You have to read it. It's so cute.
I swear, you started describing it and the smile has not left my face. That sounds precious.
Yeah, it absolutely is. And the art is super cute too.
We need to protect Cheryl at all costs.
I know.
I love it so much. I'll definitely have to get caught up, especially while it's on hiatus.
Yeah.
That'll make it a little easier to catch up.
Yeah.
When you don't have the consistent like weeks that you're worried
you're
about
not
falling
getting
behind.
further and further behind.
Exactly. There you go. So totally fine. So the last one that I wanted to talk about was actually going to be the When Jay-Z Whistles. Mm-hmm. It's one of the newer ones that I've started. I haven't even reached the end of season 1, and there are 2 seasons out so far. It's end of season, so hopefully I'll catch up pretty quick and I can read season 3 with everybody else. But this is a fantasy series on Webtoon with 75 episodes. So, there's quite a bit to catch up on. And I will say the episode lengths are actually pretty long. Like, they're quite substantial. So that is why I've found that it's been a little bit harder for me to catch up, because the longer episodes for me can be a little bit daunting when you're reading like 100 series at a time. So take with that what you will. Definitely take your time with it. It's a good one. But the series opens up in Paraguay in 1980. And it opens up with essentially this family just having like a really great birthday celebration for Hella. She's our main character. And she is essentially just like celebrating with her elders. They're all, they've all taught her about these ancient, tales of these gods and of monsters and just what the world was like before. And And, she takes it with a grain of salt. She's kind of a headstrong kid who doesn't know what kind of myths and things she believes in. And essentially, she's celebrating her birthday and finds out that, like, one day she's expected to be the chief of her tribe. Mm-hmm. And so, she tells her mom, she's like, I'm ready to be chief now. And her mom says, when you're strong and, like, you're ready, that's when you'll be the chief of the tribe. So there's a flash forward 10 years, and you find out that essentially the entire tribe is in ruins. You see, like, all of the different, housing units. They're all, like, broken down and in shambles. And she's kind of by herself, essentially. Like, you just kind of see her hunting alone. And her friend kind of comes up behind her. And, his name is Rodrigo. They're kind of those best friends that you can tell, like, they've been so close for so long. Like, they're practically romantically involved and they kind of want to be, but no one wants to express their feelings. Mm-hmm. And essentially Rodrigo has had an opportunity to leave the tribe and go and study and kind of just like go to a neighboring, like, bigger city to, better himself. And so he's trying to make the tough decision of leaving, and he doesn't want to leave Hella behind because their tribe has dwindled a lot. You don't really know what kind of fate has befallen them, but something tragic, essentially. And he goes, I need to get out. I need to be able to provide something for the tribe that we don't have, and my education will help with that. And he wants Jay-Z to go with her. He wants Hella to go with her. But essentially, he's just like, I have to get out. Like, I don't want to leave you, but I am going to have to go. So he takes her into this cave. He's like, I have something special for you. I want to share this moment with you. And he takes her into this cave. And the deeper and deeper they get, they're like, there's just something weird. Like, something doesn't feel right here. What are we doing? Like, why does it just feel so eerie? And they ignore it, and he gives her her birthday present, and it's a Walkman. So she's like listening to all these different cassettes or whatever in there. I found out recently that apparently there are some people who don't know what Walkmen are or cassette tapes. So that was heartbreaking.
Yeah, that is a little heartbreaking.
So for anybody who doesn't know, let's think like before CD players and iPods. And if you don't know what those are, then I'm sorry. I don't know how to help you. But essentially gives her a Walkman, so like this antique, but because they've lived kind of so isolated, like that is new to her. Like she doesn't really know what that is. And so anyways, as they're in this cave, Hella starts to hear this whistling. And she doesn't know where it's coming from. She's like, oh my goodness, it's beautiful. Like, this is incredible. And then she kind of just passes out. Like, she faints. Mm-hmm. When she comes to, she's back in her house. And Rodrigo's dad runs in and he goes, where's Rodrigo? We cannot find him. Like, we have no idea where he went. And Hella is entirely distraught. She has no idea where he is. She's like, I was with him last, but I have no idea where he is. Like, I'll try to find him. I don't know what's going on. And so she recalls this tale that she heard from her elders back in the day of the tale of Jay-Z Jatare. Essentially, it's a story of this god who plays a beautiful song. For kids who sleep their siesta, it's totally fine because they're already asleep. And so they're taking the rest they need. But if you're awake when you're not supposed to be, or you're doing something you're not supposed to be, you'll hear the song and you're fated to dance with him and go where he takes you. And they're essentially fated to be food for his demonic brothers.
Ooh.
So she goes, I heard the whistling. I don't know what's real. Like, who knows? And then she hears this whisper, like a knock at her door who says, hey, it's Rodrigo. And she goes, oh my gosh, it's Rodrigo. And when she goes to open the door, like right then she hears a whisper that says, come follow me if you ever want to see him again alive. So she leaves and she goes and she starts following this path. It's essentially like lit up for her and she has no idea what's going on. Mm-hmm. And so under this tree, she sees Jay-Z. And she realizes that like this ancient world of monsters and gods is not so ancient And then she kind of has to go down the path to try to find her best friend.
Ooh.
It is so good. I say it with every story I read because they're all incredible, but the art is amazing. And I love it. I just think it's so great to like have somebody who's essentially a non-believer and then kind of force her to believe. Like her hand is forced in that direction.
That's really interesting. That I think, I mean, you've got a lot of mystery going on in your themes right now.
Yeah. I mean, you as well.
Yeah.
You've got a lot. I mean, mostly Nina's magic chest.
Yeah.
But
still.
lots of mystery. It's the season.
Tis the season.
Tis the season for mystery and thrillers. But this one is very beautiful. I can tell already that like this is a fantasy world that'll be super fun to explore. And I'm super interested to hear kind of what lore they have going on.
Yeah, it sounds really interesting.
So
I'll add it to the list.
yeah, no kidding. It's already been there.
Okay, well, it's buried with 400 other things on the list.
The list just gets longer every time we mention it. It's buried with the 700 different stories.
We are physically buried under this list.
I know. It's fine. Just, the weight of our decisions just upon us.
Yeah.
All of the time. But anyways, if any of these stories pique your interest, feel free to hop in and join in the conversation. Leave us some comments or send us a message on Instagram. We're there. We're active in our Reddit as well. So feel free to ping us and send us what you're enjoying, what you're reading yourself. But we hope you've been having a wonderful fall season and that you've been enjoying some new series as well.
Yeah. Goodbye.
Bye.